Hello, this is Dr. Nancy O'Reilly, and I would like to welcome you to Smart Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, a podcast that takes a look at stories of life and leadership for smart, amazing women and men like you.
The most important thing is showing up. Don't think that you have to bring anything. Bring yourself, show up, and remain steadfast and be a...
If you are in a position of leadership and a position of management, bring women along with you.
Supporting women is my passion and my purpose. And talking with other women and men who promote women's leadership is one of my favorite things to do.
I've yet to meet a woman who did not know what she really wanted. She was just either afraid to ask the questions or she was afraid of what the answers meant.
Their stories connect us and help us to understand that the possibilities are endless if we support each other and lift other women up.
Trust is created by persistent identity. I show up as myself time and time and time again, and trust is built. It's one conversation at a time.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nancy O'Reilly, and I'm happy to welcome Linda Rendleman to Smart Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy. Linda and I have worked as champions of women for so many years together. I've lost count. She has had so many firsts. First regional magazine, first Women Online's networking company. I have lost count of her awards as well, except for receiving the highest honor for women in her home state of Indiana, the Torchbearer Award. And we share both the honor, been both honored by the Carnelis Group Hear Her Song Project, which aims to amplify women leaders' extraordinary voices. Linda's passion is to change the world by empowering women and girls. Her social profit organization, the Women Like Us Foundation, launched the Women Like Us Center in Nakuru, Kenya, and changed the lives of women who are victims of abuse and poverty by teaching them skills for economic stability. She is an honored and inspired speaker, author of the book Women Like Us book series, and executive producer of the film documentary Women Like Us, 3 Journeys, 1 Mission to Change the World. So there's so much I can tell you about Linda. I don't think we have enough time today, but I want to welcome Linda to Conversations with Dr. Nancy, and it's so good to see you again.
Oh, you too. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm just honored to be on your podcast. And here we are on video after we both started years ago over radio and blogging, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're catching up with the technology finally, but a lot of people just started podcasts and become the most popular thing, audiobooks and podcasts. And we have a book coming out in audio soon, and the audio podcast are, it's fun. I love seeing the people I'm talking to. So for me, this is delightful. But welcome, Linda. But the next 30 minutes is about you. I've got a little fly that just loves me.
Yeah, I saw that kind of spinning around there a little bit.
He wants to right on my nose. But you know what? He wasn't here when I started until I started talking. Anyway. Maybe he's a friend.
Whatever.
I always start with this. We've done the podcast before, but I always start with the personal story, because you and I both know when we share our stories, amazing things happen and connections just immediately occur one way or another. So tell me about your person. How do you get to be the person I'm talking to today?
Yeah, lucky me. No kidding. It's so good to see you. I just think about you so much, and all of the wonderful support that the Women Like Us Foundation has had through you, number one. And just the fact that, we started, I think 20 years ago is when we met, but never in person until maybe the last, 6 or 7 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I cherish your friendship so much, Nancy. I really, really do. So yes, when you said women's stories are important, I'll just piggyback off of that and say all 3 of my books are all about women's stories too. So it's really, really critical, because if we can tell our stories and tell the how of how we got from A to Z and share that with other women, it can be very motivational, and it's just really good information to have. And so I'm happy that I can tell mine. I'll try to keep it short. But yeah, I've literally, since way back in actually the 1980s, when I first started my own website, back when they were way new, and I've always been very interested in supporting women in their work. That really truly is my life's work, as it is yours. And so, I mean, what you're doing is amazing, and we just keep lifting one another up, right, Nancy? So that we can continue this on our own, and also bring other women along the way. So it's fabulous. In a short version here, I was always very involved with women. I started the Indianapolis Woman Magazine, which was the first local magazine across the country in a city. And I think there was one other one in Virginia when we did our research. So way back then, it was very much about bringing women together, having them share what they know, having them share what they need to know, and really lifting us up together. That's for sure. And then we moved on to actually start one of the very first in our city websites. And people didn't really get that yet. So we had to kind of go back and start doing a membership group. And we did a lot of workshops and a lot of speaking, and combined that with the online presence, which, as we all know now, is, huge, of course. And so I was very involved in that. Now, that was all at that time, Nancy, that was a for-profit company that I had. But I always felt in my brain that I really need to be in a nonprofit. You just have those things in the back of your head, and then you kind of set them aside, and then they come back to you, and it's just part of the calling of what my life was going to be like, and certainly my work. So I decided that I had this for-profit. It was called Business Women Connect, very focused on business women. And if you remember, during that time period, we had really had the glass ceiling. I mean, now I feel like we have our inner glass ceiling. But at that time, yeah, it was just amazing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I added a nonprofit part to my for-profit business. And then fast forward, it was maybe only a year later that I discovered that I had cancer. And that stopped everything for me for about 3 years. And so when I was during that 3-year period, one of the things is I knew that I still wanted to write my book. And when I got better, I was able to write my first book, Women Like Us, Real Stories and Strategies for Living Your Best Life. And when I got that done, I had a very good friend of mine come to me, and she said, Linda, this book, and I know, Nancy, I think you were in my second and my third book. I know you were in the third one, and I think it was the second one too. But anyway, and so my friend said to me, Linda, don't you have a charity? And after all of that time with all the treatments and so forth, I had taken that charity and just put it up on a shelf in my mind's eyes, in this beautiful box with little jewels and feathers. And it was just all in my brain. And I thought, someday I'm going to bring this charity down again in this little box. And I'm going to start over because I want to have a nonprofit. And it was my really good friend, after I wrote that first book, who said, Linda, don't you have a charity still? And I said, yes. And we took it down off of that little shelf where it was waiting for the right time. And we changed businesswomenconnect.com to a full-time charity and named it the Women Like Us Foundation after my first book. So that's how we started. That's how we got in. And honestly, Nancy, that was about, I hate to say this, I mean, I always have to go back and do the math, but I think we're at about 20 years now that we've been doing the Women Like Us Foundation.
Yeah. But I'm going to ask you one simple question, though, but why? Why all this? I mean, there has to be, I mean, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. It really started with me, and of course, feeling inadequate and not prized as a female, as a girl, and then as a woman. As I got older, I felt like I did not have a voice, and many women were not supporting each other. And I was working on my doctorate, and I'll make this short, but I was working on my doctorate. This was again years and years ago, and someone. I heard from someone in my family say, well, what about your family? I said, what do you mean, what about your family? All this time you're taking to work on your doctorate, what about your family? It wasn't supportive. It wasn't, oh, you're fantastic, you're leaving a legacy for your daughter. It was really about, why aren't you doing your job as a mother of your children? And then I had another woman say to me, who do you think you are? And I know, in my gut that I thought, you're not you need to understand that women have to have a voice and we have to support each other. So what was your go-to?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a, and it's interesting because over time, and even again, just recently, I've realized some things that happened in my childhood that actually steered me in this direction. I always wanted to be with the kids that didn't have anything. I always wanted to be with the kids who were rejected by the other kids.
Yeah.
And that was very much a big part of who I am. Fast forward, I married at 19. I had my first child at 21. I was divorced when I was almost 10 years married. I did everything, all my education. I did everything the hard way, but I ended up with graduate work. Such as you, I'm not a doctor, but yeah. And so I really truly know that not only do I want to help people along any way I can, specifically women, but also I'm a feminist. And I believe in everything. In fact, it's just funny. I just was looking at this. I'm going to tell you just a couple of things in my first book. No, this is in my third book. Sorry. This is so cool. I just want to share a couple things. So in the early 1970s, women couldn't serve on a jury. Women couldn't get an abortion until 1973. However you feel about that, it doesn't matter. I actually didn't mean to read that one. Women couldn't get credit cards in their name until 1975. Women couldn't sue for sexual harassment until the middle of the 70s, and it goes on. So the point is, there's a lot of work to do by we women, and it's still there. And I'm absolutely passionate about bringing women along, myself included.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that in 2021, we're fighting Roe versus Wade again, it's crazy. A woman in Missouri, for example, cannot cross a border if she wants to have an abortion. Of course, Missouri is a pro-life state now. If she does cross the border and decides to come back after the abortion, she can be prosecuted. I mean, I guess, Linda, for me, you're right. We know where we're coming from, but we still have these things that are there that just keep getting in the way of women that just are profound. So, our work is not done. We have to basically, but we can't do it alone. We need other women who can support us, but we also need the male advocates and the male mentors as well. So, and you and I know this, people think, I sometimes think people, that's why the story is so important. I think people sometimes look at you and say, oh gosh, things were so simple for her. Everything's so easy for her. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing they think about me, but we need to let women know that we have had trials and tribulations, and women need to get used to being uncomfortable. They're not everybody's going to like you, and not everybody's going to appreciate you. And to be good leaders, we have to start using that voice, and not everybody's going to appreciate it or like what we have to say. So, and I know you have your daughter, and you work together. I think that's wonderful. My daughter Reagan and I've done some work work together on the women's issues, and I think we're going to start again. But, for me and my daughters, I have 3 daughters. I want them to live in a world. And now I've got 7 granddaughters. I don't have a choice.
I remember that. That's so perfect.
I don't have a choice. And it was funny, after I started having all these granddaughters, all my horses were having fillies. I had girl.
You've got are you like a whisperer? You're a woman whisperer. That's what you are.
But talk about a feminist. I don't have a choice. God has a sense of humor. She says she will be a woman and she will help other women. And I think that's the way you feel as well.
Yeah.
And you've done so much in Africa. And you've connected with Convoy of Hope. Dory Donaldson was here just last week.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And we talked about you and all the wonderful work you've been doing in Africa to help women.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, tell a little bit about that, because I think that is such a good example when women are given just a hand up, not a handout, a hand up, and they do what they do with other women. Just talk a little about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. And I want to say, over the years, it's always been about women. It's always been about championing women in one area or another. So we did a lot with, I would say maybe 8 years ago or so, we were very, very involved with sex trafficking, homelessness, but our goal has always been, the overarching piece is education for women. And that's how really, really we can help women. I mean, we're all out there doing it. That's my choice. I feel it's absolutely so important. And in the last 4 or 5 years, I have to kind of go back to where all the places we've been. We were very, very fortunate. We were, first of all, we were trying to change everyone's lives everywhere when we first started our charity. And you can't do that. It's like the story of the starfish, you can help that one, throw that one back into the sea. So we started really narrowing down because our message was clearer. And that's something that was a challenge that we had for some time, that I would really tell other women, if you want to have a nonprofit, that there are certain things that will really help you along the way, and you don't spend too much time not having a clear message, but that's later. So we ended up in Kenya, and we also still do some work in the United States, but mostly and almost completely in Kenya. We were supporting 3 different, one was the woman who rescued girls from FGM, and she's amazing. So when we travel there every year, as we've not been able to do since COVID.
Explain FGM. That's because I think that's a really important.
Yes, female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
And some people refer to it as cutting. Mm-hmm. And it's very much a tradition in a lot of the tribes in Kenya, and not necessarily just tribes. But these girls are actually cut. Sometimes it's with a piece of aluminum or the side of the top of a can, and they can be cut to where they are also even sewn shut in some I started to say organizations, in some areas, and it's a tradition, and it really is. It's the grandmothers and the mothers that do this to their daughters. So why do they get this done? Because the men in those areas will not marry their daughters unless they've been cut. And why is that? Because they don't want the women to run away when they marry them because they have sex drives. I mean, that's how I explain it. Yeah. And that really, really is true. So we were very honored to be able to help, and Kim DeWitt with Omaleka Home is where we go. We went every year until we can't go now. And then also there's an elementary school. Really, it's like 4-year-olds up to 12 that we've supported for a long time. Nancy Noel, who you met when we were in Washington, D.C., it was her finding, but she didn't have a non-for-profit, so we supported her on the non-for-profit level. I mean, all of those, what's interesting, I know you feel this way, Nancy, everyone that I've met, that we've worked with, they're just like my best friend. We did it for so long. And they mean, all of these people mean so very much to me. And in your travels, I'm sure you get that as well. So but here's the story that I'll try to tell you quickly. Back in 2014, we brought almost 20 women to Kenya, and we saw we volunteered at these two organizations that I just mentioned. And we had a new organization to meet, and it was called Victorious Teens International. And there was a woman by the name of Anne Kabui. This is a story. Anne Kabui, who started this in the way in the deep Rift Valley area of Kenya. And we visited the school. We were the only Americans these children had ever seen. And Anne and I just completely understood one another. It's one of those meetings where you go, yes, I want to work with this woman. I really want to work with this woman. So we decided that she was very, very much about teen girls staying in school. And this was at a point when girls were having to leave school because once they were on their menstrual cycle, they had to sit in dirt or they had to sit in grass. They lost time in school. Eventually they drop out. So we worked very hard on that with certainly with Anne Kabui. And then we realized that what we need to be doing is also educating the mothers, because we want these girls to grow up they're teenagers now, but we want them to become educated so they can have better lives. But we also need to help the women with that so that they can be an example for their daughters. And that's when Anne and I created a program where we could teach the women skills. And it started with teaching them to sew, and they would meet in their homes and so forth and so forth. Then one day, as we were building this little small project with these women, I got a message in the mail, in the email, and I got a message, and Anne had died. And this woman, we talked every single week. She was like my best friend. And Anne had died. And as it turns out, Anne, without ever telling me, was a victim of domestic violence. And all of this work that she was doing for girls was also about her own battle as a domestic violence victim. So when she passed away, I still cried trying to tell the story, but so after she passed away, we didn't know what to do. What will we do with the girls, et cetera, et cetera. And we persevered, we bounced back. And that's how we created our work right now, our focus. And that's how we created the Women Like Us Center in Nakuru, Kenya. Anne's picture hangs on the wall in there. And we have been able, now we teach women sewing. They have an amazing graduation. They get certificates after they take sewing classes for 9 months. So they get certificates that they can get jobs as a domestic. They can go in their homes and sew, a little micro enterprise. They also are learning computers now. I had one of our women say to me, I am so excited we are getting computers. I can't wait to touch one. We also chickens, they have poultry, they have land now where they can grow vegetables, they feed their families and they sell it at the market, and it goes on. And that's the education. I have cold chills just talking about it, quite honestly. I'm just so happy for these women.
Well, and I've told you, I've been to Kenya and Masmara. I've been all around that area as well with the Convoy of Hope Women and Girl Empowerment Program. No, it's amazing how just a little hand up can go so far, because once these women and girls get that hand up, they take it to a different level, and then they lift other girls and women as they go. And I think that's the best part of that. And just because I don't want to forget this part, and also one of the hugely important things is one of our directors is a psychologist. So we also, not only are we teaching them skills, but we're teaching them how to be strong, how to set boundaries. They talk openly about rape. Their lives are really hard. And we're located right at the edge of the Nakuru slums, and they just find us.
So yeah, and just one final thing is we have impacted over the last 5 years 800 women and their families, and it's just so I'm just so thankful for all that.
Yeah,
the right people have come along the way, including you.
But we still have more to do. We're talking about a lot of countries that definitely do have some third world issues for sure. As far as the biggest one being poverty, of course. Mm-hmm. But in the United States, we still have to, and I'm still very much a proponent. Like I said, I've helped a lot of organizations in other countries. But we still have much to do in the United States so that we build this community of like-minded women who then have like-minded daughters and sons who then, my dream, my goal in life is that one day, again, there'll be many, many women in leadership positions. Gender equity will be clear. There will be no gender equity. I mean, there will be gender equality everywhere in every cohort, every group in the United States, because I think the more we come together as a community and the more that we support one another, men and women and girls and boys, is that those things are going to happen. They're going to happen, and that's what's, we're seeing more and more women in legislative positions and in politics and, but this is what I hear more and more, that if women are in a leadership position, in a position of making decisions, working with other women, that a lot of our problems are going to disappear. And I'm, but again, my book is called In This Together. And this is really what this is about. But Linda, you are a champion for girls. You're a champion for women. Like I said, you have a daughter, and she has taken up the torch. She'll get the next Bearer Award, but my daughters as well, and my granddaughters. Is that one day you want to see them all just kind of coming together and working together and supporting each other, and no more mean girls, no more mean women. I'm so tired of hearing about mean women and mean girls. I want to hear about girls and women that are really, really helping one another. So what is your ultimate dream? What is your ultimate dream?
My ultimate dream for women?
Yeah.
Or is that the question?
Or just anything, women or just the world. What is your ultimate dreams?
Well, of course, I'd love to see women rule the world. It'll be way after I'm gone, but we could start there.
At one point that changed.
Yeah, actually, this is it. This is what comes to my brain right this very moment. When I wrote my first book, I wrote this one chapter, and I was the smoke off of my keyboard was how passionate I was about this. Yeah. And the title of that article, or that chapter, was "Some Women Don't Get It." And that is very much about the fact that women back in those days, now this would have been, 20 years ago now almost, but women were competing for jobs. We're competing for, what we can get. So they push one another aside in order to maybe get a chance at that one piece, that one job that's up there that they can step forward in their career. And that is my biggest wish. And I do believe we're getting there. The Women's March, the work that you're doing, just all of that. Carla Canales, to your point about the Hear Her Song thing. We're really, really, see, I have cold chills right now while I'm talking to you, because we really do. But we can do this. We can absolutely do this. And it is moving that direction. And I'm just thrilled. I'm so thrilled that I can be a part of it.
Well,
right.
That's probably a great place for us to end today, but that we both really do believe that when we find women in top leadership roles, a lot of the issues that we have in our world right now are going to be solved and disappear. The hand that rocks the cradle rocks the world, and we need more hands doing that. So,
exactly.
Linda, I want you to continue to be the champion and the warrior queen that I know so well, and go out there.
You too.
And continue our work. But again, it's so much more fun when we have people like you to work with and to be with and have that support. So I wish more women understood that, and men.
Thank you. I'm going to say just really quickly, I'm also doing some coaching now, and the focus on that is for women to rediscover their worth if they've lost it.
Yeah.
That's a big focus for me right now too. So awesome.
I think that's exactly what we need. We need to remember that we're unique, we're special. There's nobody like us in the whole wide world. So I want to thank you for talking today. I know this is just another one of our come and meet one another, but we will do more work. But Linda, congratulations on everything that you do. It's very, very appreciated. And I just want to say one thing: not profit, not for profit. Say social profit. So I just think I want everybody to understand that what we're doing is really social profit, to really
absolutely
the world to be a better place. So have a great day.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoy these smart, amazing conversations, please subscribe, rate, and review them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And read and enjoy more amazing stories in my books, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Work and Life, and Leading Women, 20 influential women share their secrets to leadership, business, and life. Thank you for listening.